everybody? This is the DD mention like villains like Bob Dylan, keeping on Lewis and double stuff. Oreos. Good night, actually. And I love movies. I love to talk about movies, and I'm not alone. I have two members of the Monday Cinema Club, which is Dante Bosco's Instagram show, which airs usually at 6 p.m. And I've been part of that show, and I've watched that show a number of times. And these two ladies always have something insightful and good to say. I want to welcome Alison and Vanessa to the show. What's up, y'all? How you doing?
Hi. How are you?
Good. I just wanted to, glad you guys are here. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to come on to the show. The first thing I want to talk about is the Pixar Dilemma. Pixar is known for high quality animation, and lately it just seems like each one of their movies have since I think the last theatrical release they had was Toy Story 4. And then after that, they had Onward, which went straight to Disney Plus, which was understandable because that's when COVID happened. Then after that, they had then after Onward, I think was Soul, which went straight to Disney Plus. And then recently they had Turning Red, which was supposed to get a theatrical release, but it did not, which I thought was really weird. When Disney has their animated stuff like Encanto, or what was the other one called? Or even the Frozen movies, they all get theatrical releases. So I just think it's really bizarre. What's your thoughts on that?
Thing where they're still unsure about like the influx of crowds and theaters and that kind of thing, because I'm sure that it's been kind of a shaky start for people going back to the movies. I mean, there have been certain like blockbusters like Spider-Man and that kind of thing, but not every movie gets the same attention when it hits theaters as they used to, considering, COVID is still a thing.
Yeah, Alison.
I'd probably agree with that. I mean, I know Pixar and Disney are both very popular, and Encanto is very popular. Like, We Don't Talk About Bruno got more streams than Let It Go. So, I mean, yes. I don't know if that's necessarily it, but Pixar is very popular too. So maybe because Pixar, I mean, Onward came out when COVID started. That's why, but I don't know. I never thought about it much, but.
Yeah, I would Onward came out in March of 2020, right when COVID happened. And even Soul came out like during the year 2022, not 2022, but 2020 as well. But like Turning Red, which I don't know if you guys saw it, it was pretty great.
I've never seen it.
Oh, it's really good. And I was hoping that would get a theatrical release, but it didn't. It's like Disney pulled it for some reason and put it on Disney Plus, which caused it not to make any money. I was like, that's just really bizarre. It's a really bizarre move. I guess they were hoping that they would get more subscribers by putting it on Disney Plus first, because Disney Plus been having like a bit of a struggle trying to get subscribers or what have you. But yeah, I don't know. I just found that really, really bizarre. I hope that it doesn't affect any future Pixar movies from getting released theatrically. That's just nothing.
Be kind of cool to talk about anime.
Okay, well, what you got?
Well, I figured we could, maybe talk about if either of you were into it at all, if you had like a favorite anime or some that you were kind of fanatical about.
Well, yeah, I love. I think it's funny because I love anime. There was a point when like. This is back in the 90s though. I was really into anime, and there's this but the anime section at Blockbuster Video was like this small.
Yeah.
And it was like your only options were like Bubblegum Crisis, Crying Freeman, very, 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 very small selection. But I remember, I'll never forget it, because I was working at Suncoast Video back in 2005. Yeah, 2005. And I remember going there and seeing these kids reading the Magna magazines, and they were just sitting down and they were kind of like, in a circle reading. I was like, wow, it's really, really exploding now. You know what I'm saying? It's really mainstream. Then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, Dragon Ball Z, Naruto, all this other stuff just starts exploding like that. I just remember that small section at Blockbuster Video, and now it's just expanded to what it is right now. I think it's really amazing.
Yeah, I remember what you're talking about too. I mean, it was a little bit different where I lived and like during the time that I grew up because we had Blockbuster, but we also had Hollywood Video,
Yeah,
which
I remember Hollywood.
was,
Yeah.
yeah. So Hollywood Video, I liked it a lot better because they had a much bigger selection.
Yeah. 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 Gosh, I forgot. Oh, I forgot. I almost forgot about Hollywood Video. Yeah, the anime called Crying Freeman. I don't know if you remember that or not.
I don't remember that one, no, sadly.
Oh, it was pretty great. It was actually the first time, at least that I've seen where like whenever like Crying Freeman was like an assassin where he would hit like he'll fight somebody, and while he's fighting somebody, he'll cry. And it was the first time I saw the whole X-ray thing. They used it in Romeo Must Die, where anytime that he would hit somebody, you can kind of see like what was going on inside him. You know what I'm saying? And that's my
Yeah.
first time seeing that, and I thought that was really great. But yeah, Allison, what's some of your favorite animes? Do you have any?
I don't watch anime very much at all. I thought about watching A Silent Voice, but I heard what it was about and it might make me too upset. And so somebody recommended like another anime movie, but I forgot the name of it. But I always found how books of anime are kind of the back is the front and stuff. I kind of find that very unique.
Yeah.
Yeah, manga. Yeah, they do it to where you have to read it from right to left.
Yeah, and that might take me a bit to get used to, but it's very interesting. And
right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, now I know that Allison, you do write, right? Don't you write?
Yeah, I write stuff. I've written some short stories and poems and stuff.
How long you been writing?
Like I actually started writing when I was like in 9th grade. I got a journal, and so I just journaled a lot, and then I just wrote. But I was always telling stories ever since I was like a kid. So
Yeah. Cool. Have you written anything that you plan on getting published, or just something that you desire to get published?
maybe not right now, but in the future. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
That would be cool. You'll have to let us know, if you do get published, because we'll, probably want to go and scoop it up and support you.
Thanks.
No problem.
It'd be cool to learn screenwrite. That would be kind of cool.
Yeah. And now it seems like it's so much easier. Not easier, that's not the right word, but it seems like it's it's a little bit easier to get self-published now. You know what I mean? Through Amazon and other avenues like that. So, and I like to write as well. I think it's very therapeutic, but and especially stuff we've been going through for the past few years. You know what I mean? What it's been crazy. How did you guys learn about the Monday Cinema Club, which is Dante Bosco's? For people who don't know, Dante Bosco is an actor. He's done a ton of movies, but you might know him from Rufio and Hook. He's been in Love Don't Cost a Thing. He does the voice of Prince Zuko from Avatar. He's the legend of the game. And he has a Monday Cinema Club, which is on Instagram at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a great. How did you guys discover that?
Well, I follow Dante Bosco because I've seen him in Hook and Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, because he does the voice of General Iroh and that too. And I recently saw him in But I'm a Cheerleader, and of course the Fabulous Filipino Brothers. But when I first found out about it, I was like, oh, what's this? And I just clicked on it because I was curious. And I don't know when I started actually getting into it, but I remember I would have loved to be in the like water for chocolate conversation because I saw that for a class, but I was at work, so I couldn't really join it. But I thought that was one of my favorite episodes. So that's how I got into it. And, you know.
Yeah, cool. Well, what about you, Vanessa?
Yeah, it's pretty similar. I had been following him for a while, and Hook was kind of a big deal in the 90s. My sister, she's an 80s baby, and so she kind of got me into Hook a little bit more because I was kind of young to understand everything that was going on in that movie at the time when I first watched it, but she kind of helped me understand where she was older and she got it. And then as the years went by, other films that popped up, you Take the Lead and that kind of thing, and I always would stumble upon them. And of course, when Proud Family came out, I'm pretty sure he did a few voiceovers for that show, like the original Proud Family, not the new one. But then, of course, with Avatar that came out and Legend of Korra, he was also doing the voiceover in this other cartoon on Disney called American Dragon, Jake Long. A lot of people remember that one.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I'd been following him, most of my life really, and it kind of just made sense to hop on and keep up with him on social media, and I'm glad I did because even though I hadn't started following Monday Cinema Club from the very beginning, once I got into it, I was really happy I did. It's a really fun show.
Yeah, it is. And I forgot to mention his co-host usually is Alice Rahuma. How is her last name?
Rahimatella, I think.
Rahimatella.
Are they dating or something?
Yeah, they are.
Okay. I thought I remember that, but I wasn't sure.
And I think recently,
I like how they kind of pick at each other.
Yeah. They're
hilarious. Yeah.
And I think gosh, I'm
Denise is now a part of it too, and she was always in it even before she was always on there, and so I'm not surprised she.
Is now. She has quite a vast knowledge of movie stuff. So yeah, I wanted to ask you guys too, like Oscar night is upon us. Is there a movie or an actor from past to present who you think deserved to win or be nominated and never got nominated or won?
You go first, Allison.
I mean, I don't know. I don't watch Oscars much, but Anne Hathaway probably already won an Oscar, but I think she's a really good actress. And I don't know.
Well, I mean, I might be a little bit under researched, so don't quote me, but I don't know if Bruce Willis has won or not, but I feel like he probably should have if he hasn't.
Yeah, he hasn't. Anne Hathaway did. She got, I think she won an Oscar for Les Mis.
Okay, yeah.
I think there's this really great movie called Eve's Bayou, which was directed by Casey Lemons, and who that had Journey Smollett, that had Samuel L. Jackson. It had it was like one of the first movies with Megan Good, and it was about this family from New Orleans, and it was love and voodoo and a whole bunch of craziness, you know what I mean? And to me, it was like one of those kind of artsy movies that was kind of so abstract to where I was like, okay, it has to be nominated. And Casey Lemons is a African American. She was like one of the first African American female directors that I've known, and I was for certain that she was going to get nominated for that year, and she didn't. And I was so mad. I watched that movie twice in the movie theater, and I normally don't do that. If I see a movie once,
Right.
that's probably it. You know what I'm saying? But it's different now because you have access to, a well, not movie pass, but like I have Regal unlimited pass, so it's different. I can watch movies as many times as I want. But back then it was like, it costs money to go to the movies. And then also Angela Bassett was
Oh
in What's
yeah.
Love. Yeah, she was in What's Love Got to Do with It. That year, she got nominated, but she didn't. Not only did she not win, but it was weird. She didn't get nominated individually. It was her and Lawrence Fishburne. They both got nominated at the same time in the same category, which was very, really, really bizarre. And I thought she did a fantastic. I think both of them did a fantastic job, and I hate that they didn't win. Tonight, I don't know all the nominees. I do know that Will Smith is nominated for King Richard, and I hope he does win only because that guy's been at it for a long time. He was nominated years ago for Ali, and I mean, I seen him grow as an actor, and I think that he deserves to win. I've seen part of that movie, but not all of it, and so yeah, I hope that he does win.
Another actor I thought it was Shayleen Woodley. She was I don't know if she's won anything, but I think she's a decent actress too.
Was she in the
Divergent.
Divergent movies?
Drift, which is a stressful movie. Divergent, which I've never seen, and Spectacular Now.
Yeah, and she was also in the Fault in Our Stars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a real pretty girl.
Who played Aretha in the new movie Respect? I thought she did a fantastic job.
Jennifer Hudson.
Okay, yeah, her if she hasn't won anything already.
I think she
has,
might. Yeah.
For Dreamgirls.
When she was
won.
in Dreamgirls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Didn't Angela Bassett play Tina Turner? Is that who she played?
Did.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I was talking about. And What's Love Got to Do with It? She didn't get. She was nominated, but it was her and Lawrence Fishburne. They got nominated as Best Actor. I'm like, why couldn't they split them up individually? You know what I'm saying? Best Actress, Best Actor. This is like late 80s. You know what I'm saying? So, it's still like the racial tension in Hollywood still exists, but it was really bad back then. I think that's the reason why they didn't get individual nominations.
Probably, but I've also heard a couple times, like when actors do interviews, a couple of them have said that they don't really like splitting up the terminology from actor to actress. They kind of prefer to all just be called actors. So maybe it was something that the Academy had heard, murmurings of from them and decided to keep it as Best Actor at that time. Or obviously, there was still, the jealousy and racial tension and that kind of thing too. It could have been a mix of both.
Well, yeah, I know now they have a thing where like female actors want to be known as actors rather than actresses. But I'm talking about back then they didn't give them, they could have given her own, like, when Anne Hathaway gets nominated for an award for, she gets nominated as Best Actor by herself, by herself along with other nominees. They got nominated together in the same category, and they could have split them apart. It was really bizarre.
Yeah. It was kind of, when you think about that specific detail of it, it very much does seem more like they were being discriminatory.
Yeah. They were being. It seemed like they were being discriminated against. I don't know. On a lighter note, I want to ask you guys, when you guys do go to the movies, what is your favorite movie snack, candy? Now me, I go to the Dollar Tree before I go to the movies.
I love to get ice cream bars at movie theaters. Like I go to the Regal Auburn one in Washington State. I love ice cream bars. I'm not into popcorn very much.
Yeah.
I know that's kind of unorthodox because everybody thinks of popcorn when they think of movies, but I don't care for it very much.
Look, I like popcorn. It's just it I love it. but it gets my teeth. It gets the holes, the little popcorn holes get under my tongue, which is really uncomfortable. But I like popcorn. But it has to be, if I get it, it got to be fresh. I won't eat it like if it's like, I'll ask them to pop it fresh or whatever. And I worked at a movie theater before. Actually, I worked at 3 different movie theaters. And I mean, I have no problem in asking people that because people will ask me to do that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Vanessa, what's like some of your favorite movie snacks?
Well, I do like popcorn, but it seems like they, in recent years, have been lessening the quality, and it tastes more and more like cardboard each time you go. So I kind of have started to veer away from that, and I like gummy bears or gummy
Yes.
worms, and also chocolate, Reese's, M&Ms, that kind of thing, like traditional candies.
I like chips and cookies too. I'll eat like potato chips or cookies if I'm watching a movie at home.
Yeah. Do you guys like, since the movie theaters have opened back up, have you guys been back to the movie theaters, or you still don't feel safe about it?
I've been, yeah.
Yeah, I've been also. Last year actually, me and my fiance, we decided to be a little bit daring and go to a later showing, kind of, I guess, mid-pandemic, or maybe it was a little just before the pandemic, but The Invisible Man, we went to see that. And then last year, we saw a couple different ones. I can't remember all of them, but Cruella, we went to see Cruella. And if you guys haven't seen that, it was awesome. In terms of Disney movies, it was probably one of my favorite Disney movies that's come out in a really long time.
Oh, wow.
I haven't necessarily seen Emma Stone as a good Cruella, but I've seen trailers of it, and it's like now I can definitely see her doing it. I have not seen it. Very excited to. I think she's gonna pull it off.
Yeah, it was very creative and exciting, and even if you're not into Cruella, she's known for fashion and that kind of thing, but even if you're not into that, it's pretty artsy and a little bit emotional too, so it has a lot of things going for it.
Okay. Yeah, it's on Disney Plus, and I have Disney Plus, so I will definitely watch it.
I have not seen that yet, because the last live action Disney movie that I watched was The Lion King, and I didn't love it. I'm being honest.
It was okay, but it doesn't beat the first one, and
never.
I like Jeremy Irons actually wanted to reprise his role as Scar, and it's like, you should have let him. He was better. Okay, who did the voice of him? I know he was in 12 Years a Slave, but I don't know how to say his name.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, no, you can't beat Jeremy Irons. You're not touching the original.
Yeah.
I like to laugh better.
Agree.
I've seen that movie in the theater, and I also saw West Side Story in the theater with a friend of mine.
Oh.
Yeah, that was pretty good. It was okay. It wasn't great, but
I loved it. I didn't watch it in the theater. I watched it on Disney Plus. I thought it was great.
Yeah,
but just to go
unrealistic, because it's like Maria still loved the guy even though she killed her brother, and I'm like, but bruh, how do you? Why would you have, and why would you go to bed with somebody like that? He killed your brother. I would beat the crap out of him. And it's I don't understand that. You guys went way too fast, and it was just totally unrealistic to me.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I actually, I was talking to a friend of mine about that, because I was like, I haven't seen the original in such a long time. And I was like, did it happen that way in the original? And she said, yeah, that's how it happened. And she said because she didn't have a close connection with her brother, so that was the excuse, I guess. I'm like you. I don't really buy that. That's really bizarre. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't care how hot Ansel Elgort is, or how it's no, you killed somebody's brother. You're not just take that lightly.
killed your brother and used this. It was weird, but it was a really beautifully shot film.
I loved it. Anita was like very glamorous, and I like that they didn't make her like they made her kind of promiscuous, but you still didn't see her as a total tramp, which I kind of liked. They humanized her. I liked Anita. And Rita, I love that they brought back Rita Moreno, because I think, didn't she play the original?
Well, she played the original Anita.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of which, there's a really great documentary, and I tell everybody about it. It's on Netflix. It's Rita Moreno, and I forgot the subtitle, but you can just type in Rita Moreno on Netflix and in the search engine, and it'll pop up. And it's a really good documentary. Like, she went through a whole bunch of stuff. She's a legend. She's a legend.
Dad, she dated Marlon Brando, who was another great actor. And my dad said he listened to her on NPR, and apparently she said he was a sexist pig. And I was like, really?
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was always talking about civil rights, and so I thought he was a nice person, but my parents were like, no, he kind of sounds like a dick. But
yeah, he was like, a lot of those early actors were really like sexist, chauvinistic.
Well, yeah, who saw women
guys
of property that you just get to do whatever you want with, which is
it's crazy.
It's interesting that came up right after we talked about West Side Story, because like Ansel, he actually also had some allegations of some sexual misconduct against him too.
Really?
And there was some like filming delays, or if it wasn't filming delays, it might have been release delays of West Side Story, because they started to come out around that time. And I don't remember all the details, but it was some, sliding into some DMs, some, chats with minors, some shady stuff, unfortunately, that went down with him. There's a couple videos about it up on YouTube. They're pretty easy to find, but it wasn't a good situation that he got himself into.
Wow.
Oh boy.
I wouldn't think that from him. It's weird. That's so weird. That's my first time ever hearing about that.
Now, mine too.
I know Drake Bell from Drake and Josh had some allegations. I know that Cal Massey from Corey in the House and Raven's Home, not Raven's
unfortunately.
Home, he had some allegations too. I don't get that, really, to be honest, which is like, dude, I mean, like,
well, the hate, I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, but the hate you get, the guy who was going to play Chris originally, I don't know who it was originally, but it wasn't KJ Apa, but the guy before was going to, but then stuff came out about him saying racist stuff, so they fired him and picked Apa, which he was great as Chris, but it's like,
I love him. He's awesome.
Yeah. And
I
so
forgot all about that movie. That was a good movie too. I remember seeing that in the movie theater.
Yeah.
I have not read it yet, but it's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
Another good documentary that has Rita Moreno in it is called The Bronze Screen. I watched it because I took a Latin American film class. That's how I watched like Water for Chocolate. Okay. And that has her in it. Rita Moreno talks in it, and they just talk about the stereotypes of Latin American people and just all of that. And some people were kind of mad that Natalie Wood, who's not Latinx at all, I don't think, played Maria, which annoying, but Rita Moreno got to, and that was her peak. So, but it's like, why didn't you pick somebody who was Latin American? And also, did you know Rena Hayworth was Latin American?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think I might have heard that.
And she actually originally had dark hair, but they lightened her hair and said, oh, she looked more gorgeous with light hair. Which is just like, no, she looked beautiful with dark hair too. And it's just like,
wow.
Whitewashing is real, unfortunately.
Welch in that documentary, they made Raquel Welch like dye her hair blonde because, well, you're supposed to play the good girl, and the girl with the dark hair is the bad girl. And she did it, but it was like, that's so messed up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and a movie I love called Coming to America, which you guys should totally see that movie if you have not.
Yeah, love it.
But a little irritated because there was two sisters, one light skin, one dark skin, and they made the dark skin a total tramp. And I was like, really? Like, did you have to do that? Like, that I kind of found annoying.
Are you talking about the sequel or are you talking about the original? Are you talking about the sequel?
I'm talking about the original.
See, I didn't really mind that. I kind of felt like she leaned into that part of herself, and it made her character kind of funny and, unique. And there's always that kind of stark contrast with sisters where, they might be really close, but they're always going to be pretty different from each other. I thought it was kind of cool, actually.
Oh, I never thought of it that way, but I was like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
well, but
classic movie.
I love that. And I know Eddie Murphy played the barbershop characters. My parents would tell me, really, but they were hilarious. And Daryl, who was Lisa's like former boyfriend, he got on my last nerve. I was like, oh, fuck you. He was horrible. And
the soul glow. Just let your soul glow.
Oh my god. Oh, that was so hilarious. Those falsettos in that advertising.
Arsenio too.
Yeah, Arsenio's great. He's a legend. He there's one of my favorite parts of that movie though is when Louis Anderson, he's like, you see this? I'm washing lettuce. Next week I'll be on fries. It's so funny because he does it. I work with people like that, you know what I'm saying, who just takes everything so seriously.
I loved their
Great
fight
movie.
about Louis was 75 years old when they fall. Blah 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 blah. They were just talking about
Yeah.
Louis always not about his age. It's like he died when he was like in his 60s. Well, no, and then people in the YouTube comments were joking, oh no, he came back and he was 170, and it's just like you guys are funny. And then they were talking about Cassius Clay, which I didn't know until I watched that movie that was Muhammad Ali's original name.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. I always flip-flop on which movie is my favorite as far as Eddie Murphy is concerned. Is either like Coming to America or Boomerang. I love Boomerang.
I've never seen that, but I loved him in Mulan. I thought he was hilarious as Mushu.
Yeah, he did do a good job. I mean, when he does voiceovers, he really kills it.
Yeah, he's great as Donkey too. Like,
yeah. Did y'all see the Puss in Boots trailer?
No.
There's a new Puss in Boots movie coming out in the fall, and I'm like, oh, it looks so good. It's a different style of animation too. It's like this kind of it's the same kind of animation that they had with the animated Spider-Man movie that came out.
You were talking about Into the Spider-Verse a second ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was saying, I see you now. Yeah, I was talking about like with the Puss in Boots movie, there's this kind of stop motion animation they're using that kind of reminds me of that Spider-Man movie. And I love that animation. To be real, like when I didn't like it in the beginning, when they showed the first trailer for Spider-Man Into Spider-Verse, I was like, I don't like the animation. But man, when I watched that movie and I just started to really adjust to it, I was like, this is great. And I'm ready for the sequel. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, I haven't seen Into the Spider-Verse yet because that was my same hang up. The animation looked a little bit strange to me, but I mean, as long as it is easy to adjust to as you're watching it, then I have no problem going and watching it.
Yeah, you gotta watch it. I think for a short time it was on Netflix, but it's not on Netflix anymore. So, but whenever you get a chance to watch it, you need to check that out. That was awesome.
Was it nominated for an Oscar or something like that?
Yes, it was nominated for an Oscar, I believe, for best animation, and I can't remember if it won.
For a minute, I thought we were actually talking about the movie It.
Oh no.
Sorry, no.
It's okay. I've never seen that movie, but I've just heard of it. So I was like, oh wait, no, you're talking about animation.
Nah, we're talking about the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie, which came out in 2019. Yeah, came out in 2019 because
I love watching keep animation because I think animation is so cool.
You say you like watch what now? I'm sorry.
I watch the making of like animated movies. Like I've watched the making of a lot of Disney movies because I just like watch animate it and I think it's cool.
What do you think about the idea of, everything that's coming out that's animated, it's kind of computer generated animated, and it's no longer the whole idea of 2D animation, hand-drawn animation. It seems to be kind of like an extinct thing. Would you, if Disney were to come out with I think, a matter of fact, the last 2D animated movie was Princess and the Frog.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Because good computer.
Would you like, if they were to be like, okay, we're gonna do a 2D animated Disney movie, would you go to the theaters and watch that?
Yes, because hand-drawn animation, while it's probably like strenuous and tiring, it's still awesome. And so I would.
Yeah, me too.
In a second, because honestly, for whatever reason, it's my favorite style of animation. I feel like CGI kind of animation, they're fine. The movies turn out good, but for whatever reason, the way they, I guess, develop characters' faces is just so unrealistic, which is, it sounds weird because, sometimes they do these things where they scan a person to where they can animate them.
Right.
But there's so much more unrealistic proportions and that kind of thing, versus the way they used to be in the hand-drawn animation.
Yeah, you were breaking up a little bit when you said that. You say that one more time. The last thing you said, you're breaking up a little.
I was saying that the proportions on hand-drawn animations, in my opinion, are better than the computer animated ones, like with their faces. For whatever reason, computer animation, the way they do the faces, like the features are so exaggerated.
Yeah.
I was kind of taken aback when I saw Tangled, how her hair looked like real hair. I was like, how did they do that? And it was kind of different. I don't say I hated it, but it was like, oh. And now that seems to be the norm with a lot of Disney characters. Their hair literally looks like real hair.
Yeah, that takes a lot of time. I think usually with those movies, especially when it comes to like the human characters, like the hair and all this other stuff, it takes close to 4 years to make a movie like that, to that caliber. It's crazy.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like even with like Snow White, the first animated like feature film, like they had actual real people doing stuff, and then they copied it, which
right.
And in Finding Nemo, I was like watching a documentary and I saw clownfish. I was like, oh, they actually do live in the anemone thing. They must have had scuba divers go down there and film it, or they must have watched stuff, because it's like they got it so right. And
that movie I love that movie, but that movie gives me so, it's like that's like one of my favorite Pixar movies, but I still get anxiety when I watch it. It's like
I couldn't stand Marvin, or is it Marlin? I always forget if it's Marlin, yeah, because he made me mad because he was mean to Nemo, and it was like he didn't go up to the boat thing, but he just was not listening. I don't like you, but I mean, he kind of made me mad at first, but
that's the perfect that's the perfect thing where Vanessa was talking about, where it was like the actor who voiced Marlin, his name is Albert Brooks, and he's like that. He's really neurotic, kind of like over the top neurotic, and so it makes sense for him to voice that. And a lot of his facial features was kind of featured on that fish. But yeah, I love that movie. I hate it. I didn't like Finding Dory. I thought that was
I like that movie.
Nemo was great.
I love that movie. I love Marlon was hilarious in Finding Dory, because he's like totally sick, and it's like, and then he's like, no, I'm gonna be totally sick. That was hilarious.
I like Finding Dory. I think it's actually a little bit more sad though, If you think about the concept of like how it would be in real life, like parents so desperately trying to find their kid after so many years, and like the lengths that they would go to do that kind of thing, like
Right.
and where they put it into a format of it being fish, of course, for kids to have more fun with it, but like watching it as an adult, when you really understand what's going on and like what the parents are trying to accomplish, it's pretty sad.
Yeah, and I feel like in real life, my parents would be total basket cases if that really happened. Like not finding me for years. And they seemed, I mean, I'm not saying they were, but they seemed kind of okay after it. But it's like, no, like if that were me, my parents wouldn't have let me go at all because they'd be scared of losing me again. And so, like, yeah. Did you guys like Toy Story 4?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't really like it, and I was kind of taken aback by the ending, and I was like, why didn't you end it at Toy Story 3? I thought that was like the perfect ending. But there were parts I liked about Toy Story 4, like the doll who helped the little boy or girl when they got lost. I thought that was a sweet part.
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to like it, but I ended up liking it a lot. And I watched it with my nephews, my oldest nephew was like, when he was a baby, you couldn't say the word Buzz Lightyear or Woody around him because he'd be like, where? So when he grew up on that movie, on the franchise, and seeing him react to the ending as Toy Story 4, I felt it. You know what I'm saying? Because like that ending was that. I mean, it wasn't. I agree with you. Toy Story 3 had a perfect ending, but I'm satisfied with what they did with Toy Story 4. I don't think they need to go any further than that. I think they could stop right there. If they want to do a spinoff or two, they could do that. But like continue on with that story. I don't think they need to do that. But what is your I forgot to mention. My favorite movie snack. I like whatchamacallit candy bars, and I like Reese's Pieces. Just putting that out there. But okay, there's this thing going on online. It's called like the Pixar bracket. Like if I had to make up a bracket, I think it would probably end up being The Incredibles versus Inside Out. And I don't know if I could really make a decision on which one's my favorite. Like, you know what I mean? Because I love The Incredibles, the first one, not the second one. But and Inside Out, I thought was really great. But
I love Up. Like I think Up is one of my favorites. And is Luca a Pixar movie or is that a Disney movie? I liked Luca.
It is a Pixar movie.
Okay. I loved Soul. I loved Inside Out. But probably Up, because Up's like so sweet. I love Up.
Yeah, Up is good. What about you, Vanessa?
I also really like Up, and from a long time ago, A Bug's Life. That's a good one.
I forgot about that movie. I love that movie.
Yeah, that's a throwback right there. That's like, I think that's like the second one they came out with, right? After Toy Story.
That came out in the late 90s.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And people get that one mixed up with Ants, which was a DreamWorks
all the time film. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Those are two totally different films. Which, I mean, I didn't think Ants was bad. I just don't remember much of it, but I remember A Bug's Life. Yeah. So but yeah, it was, hey guys, I appreciate you guys coming on. Is there anything you want to say to anybody out there? Do you have any social media plug away?
I'm at _Vanessa Vendetta _. I post makeup, dogs, music, travel. So all of that, multi-dimensional stuff. If you're into that, you can follow me.
Cool. What about you, Allison?
My Instagram's Allison Barlow 93, and I post like books, or like if I take walks, I'll take a whole bunch of pictures of like nature. And I might post if I get a new journal. I'll be like, oh, I got a new journal and stuff.
Nice. Cool.
They should totally do Up on Monday Cinema Club. Like they need to do that movie.
I'm waiting for them to like, and I've asked Dante. There's this movie called Inner Space, which stars Martin Short and Dennis Quaid. It's like came out in the 80s. It's like one of those movies that's people don't really recognize, but the special effects were amazing. And I'm hoping they'll cover that. You know what I mean? And but basically, what it's about is Dennis Quaid is a part of this scientific experiment where he shrinks down to microscopic size. He's supposed to get injected inside of a rabbit, but instead he gets injected inside of Martin Short. And it's funny, it's weird, it's like one of my favorite movies. So
It sounds hilarious.
They should also do Frida, because I was texting Denise on Instagram. She said, if I wasn't going to do Selena, I might have done Frida. Because I'm like, they should do Frida, which is about Frida Kahlo.
Who was in that? Was that
Hayek and
Hayek.
And who played Antonio? Like, he was in Indiana Jones. Why can't I remember his name? He was also in Not Without My Daughter. And other things, I don't remember his name. But...
Indiana Jones. Which Indiana Jones?
Raiders of the Lost Ark. He played a minor character. He like died at the very beginning of Raiders.
Oh yeah, I've only seen Raiders once. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, I appreciate you guys coming on. Also just put this out there. Monday Cinema Club, Mondays at 6:00 p.m. usually. I think the movie they're covering this week is
it's Body Heat.
Body Heat. Yeah. So check that out on Instagram.
So I think that's why they're doing Body Heat.
Why are they doing it?
William Hurt died recently.
Right.
Yeah, he passed away.
Right, that's a bummer. That is a bummer.
He was only like 71. Well, that's not young, but it's not old.
Yeah, he was great as General Ross in the MCU movies, and I'm an MCU fanatic. So yeah, it's terrible. But yeah, thanks guys for joining, and I appreciate you guys and your time, and I hope you guys have a beautiful Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you for having us.
Oh, no problem.
Bye.
See ya. Ciao.
Bye.